Mhm.
immediately my brain started ramping up, and it's like, he thinks I'm lazy. He thinks I didn't do anything. He thinks this. He thinks that. And it's like, you weren't thinking any of those things. But that's
At
what
all.
I've put in my head that you're thinking, and then I immediately put that off to you as you're saying it's something you didn't say any of those things. That's all of the stuff that my brain ramped up.
Right.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After I
Do
Do.
do do do
I am your host,
do.
Nisha G, and I'm here with my husband.
Molito. Husband.
Yeah, you're my husband.
I'm not. I am that guy. How you doing, wifey?
I'm good. How are you?
You look pretty.
Thank
You
you.
know I love when you wear red lipstick.
It's a new one.
You know I love when you wear red lipstick.
This one's more like a chili brick red instead of like my normal kind of brightish red that I wear. So I'm happy you like it. How was your week?
Um, exhausting. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Just.
I feel like you're gonna have to start finding some like pockets of sunshine.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad week. I'm just saying it was a lot of work.
I know, but it's like every time I ask you, like, how was your week? Oh, it was exhausting. Oh, it was tiring. You're gonna have to find some pockets of sunshine.
It was a week of success. I set out to do what I needed to do, and I accomplished that. So I achieved my weekly goal of working
Okay.
and being a father and a husband.
Okay. That's good.
How was your week,
My
my
week
love?
was good. I had a pretty nice, productive week. Um, did a lot of things for the little to get her prepared.
Okay.
She started tap dance this week. She was super excited.
What she doing is tap dancing in my pocket.
And she looked so
She
stinking
did. It was
adorable.
adorable.
She she looked so stinking adorable. I must say, like, getting all her stuff for dance
Yeah.
has been kind of exciting. It's like when she first started gym and she actually like moved over to
Yeah.
the big gym
Yeah.
where she had to wear like an actual leotard and stuff because she's like, at the bigger gym. That was really exciting. Like, how I kind of went crazy with like getting all the leotards, and then they were like, there's a team leotard. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Wow.
But now since like she's in dance, like her uniforms are like different for different things.
Yeah.
So for ballet, she has to wear all pink and she has to wear a tutu. And then for jazz, she
And
has to be,
you're eating this shit up. You're eating it up.
I love
I
it.
will say she did look adorable on Halloween.
Oh
When
yeah.
she was Ariel
Oh yeah.
with her glitter wig.
So I tried to find a red wig for her to be Ariel for Halloween, because she wanted to be Ariel, and we could not find a red wig. And then the red wig we ended up finding, it wouldn't have gotten here in time because hashtag last minute. And then so my sister-in-law had told me that Walmart had all of their Halloween stuff 50% off like the week of Halloween. So I was like, okay, we're gonna stop by Walmart to see if we can find like a wig. And at this point, I was like, even if we don't find a red wig, she just was excited to wear a wig.
Right.
So as soon as we walked down the aisle, we beeline toward the wigs, and there was this purple and teal
Glitter wig.
glitter wig. And when I tell you, our 6-year-old daughter, it's like if there was a red wig that was an Ariel wig, it wouldn't have even
Didn't
mattered
matter.
because once she saw the glitter part in that red and teal wig, it was a
Right.
done deal. She was like, "Oh no, this one, mom, this one,"
I
and I was
mean,
like,
I would like to interject that to my benefit, Dad had bought her Ariel costume
"Oh, for her birthday."
for around her birthday, so she had
Yeah,
it months in advance. Dad
thank
had
God,
prepared,
thank
and
God.
then I bought the jewelry set a month or two ago, so she was well prepared because
Yeah,
she's been saying for the longest that she wanted to be Ariel for Halloween. So
yeah. So that was
she was
a
happy.
good look because before we went to Walmart, we actually went to Spirit Halloween. And I just wanted to go because it was the day before Halloween. I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of inventory, but I was also hoping since it was the day before Halloween that they might have like some sales. But then I was thinking again
You
too, I
don't
was
know
thinking
how
about
consumers
marketing.
weren't.
Right. And I was thinking about marketing. I was like, nah, that's not gonna happen.
The
But I
day
was like,
before,
let
we
me just go
raising
see.
prices because people were
Right.
desperate.
So I go in, me and Phoenix go in, and they had a Frozen costume because she also really likes Frozen. And
Yeah, she love
so
her some
we see
Elsa.
a Frozen costume, and of course, she's like, "Oh my gosh, Elsa, Elsa!" And she's like, "Mom, I just love it, and I've never had this before." That's her thing. When she really wants
She ain't never
something,
had shit.
she always says, "I never had this before."
Right.
So I picked up the costume, and I'm just like, I'm kind of holding it, even though I know in the back of my mind, like, we're really not gonna get it. But then, of course, there's always the possibility, like, if the price isn't like crazy, then I might get it. So we're walking around and we're looking, and then I just so happened to look down at the price on the costume,
What was it?
and it said 44.99. And so I walked up to a sales lady. She was heading my way, and I asked her, I said, "Are there any sales or deals on the costumes?" And I said, "Or is it the price that's marked on the costume?" And she was like, "It's the price marked on the costume." And I said, "I'm going to give this to you." And she was like, "Oh, did you need it in different size?" I said, "Sweetie, we don't need it at all." Like,
Not for
not for
because it's gonna be
$45.
50 after taxes.
We don't
For
need
something
that.
she gonna wear one night?
And and she's 6. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We
Nowhere
don't
near.
that's not what we do. So that's when we had went to Walmart. So I was like, let me do my last ditch effort to try to find the wig. Because if we didn't find the wig, I was just gonna get some of that colored gel
Mm.
and just like, do like a
That
little
would have been
wet.
a mess because you had to wash your hair, wash your
I
hair.
know, but then she would have had fun having purple hair for the rest of the week at school. So it's fine. But anyway, we found the glitter wig,
She had a great Halloween.
and she still has glitter in her hair to this day.
Right.
The glitter is probably going to be there for the next year or so. We
Right.
still have glitter from her first birthday
And
somewhere
my
in the
feet
corners of the
still hurt
house.
from last Tuesday night.
Yeah, so it was really fun. She had a really great Halloween. She got to spend it with one of her best friends. So that was really fun.
They were deep too. They were like 9, 10 deep. I
Yeah,
was like,
they
God
they
dang.
really liked it. So, I mean, my week was a little busy, but it was really fun, like getting her prepared for Halloween, getting her prepared for tap dancing. She got to wear her tap shoes for the first time.
What
She's
did you do for yourself?
got her ready for tap
Yeah,
dance, and
okay.
then got
So nothing.
I went to the gym.
Okay.
I got to work out with my trainer 2 days in a row. So that was fun.
Normal with her judgy eyes.
So yeah, so that's what I did for myself. I got to go to the gym for 2 days. I worked out with
You
my
didn't get
trainer
one of
back to
those
back.
you didn't pick up one of those $25 acai bowls?
Actually, I got one yesterday.
Hmm.
I got one yesterday, but I got it with a gift card because remember one of the mom friends from dance, she surprised me with the gift card.
I have to thank her for saving my pocket that
One
yesterday.
of the dance moms, I had did some of the little girls, like, like lip gloss and stuff, and mascara on the little girls for their headshots for dance. And so on my way to dance the other day, or last week, I was gonna stop and get an acai bowl. There's a goodness gracious, juice place that I like to go to, and they make these really great acai bowls. And I was gonna stop by before taking her to ballet practice, and I was like, "Oh, let me stop by and get me an acai bowl because her practice is 2 hours." So I was like, "I'm just gonna have an acai bowl while she practices." And as I'm walking in the door, one of the dance moms stops me at the door, and she was like, "I was getting your acai bowl as a surprise to thank you for doing my daughter's makeup and stuff. And I also got you a $25 gift card." So she bought me my acai bowl and bought me and gave me a gift card.
Oh, that's
So
sweet.
yeah, so I got to use the gift card. So it was actually a pretty cool week. Like once I kind of reflect on it, I had a really nice, busy, productive week. I feel like I did get a lot of things done now that I'm saying it aloud, because sometimes I feel like I can look back on the week and I'm like, damn, well, what did I do? But when I start like talking about it aloud, it's like I actually managed to get quite a bit done and still got my workouts in too. So I was really proud. I'm really proud of myself. Okay. I feel like I can feel even more accomplished now.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
okay. What we got today?
All right. So today on today's docket, we're gonna be talking about something.
This is not a court.
We're gonna be talking about
All
something
rise.
that I feel like I hear a lot of, and I think it's like really common.
You be listening to a lot of
In
people because I don't hear nothing.
Well, I have girlfriends that I talk to. I hang out with moms like a lot.
Messy moms.
I hang out with moms a lot.
You should start a mom support group
Bye. So, anywho,
because y'all be going through it.
so we're gonna be talking about jealousy and insecurities in your marriage, right?
Mm.
I think that I feel like I have a lash or something like in my eye. I think everyone goes through moments or stages of insecurity and possibly a little bit of jealousy when it comes to being in a relationship. What do you think?
I think anything is possible.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, some people. I mean, you can have moments of weakness where you feel that way. I'm not saying
I mean,
that.
do you think that's a weakness?
I,
Or do you think that's like something that can
yeah,
naturally
because
occur?
jealousy and insecurity is internal things that are working against you.
Well, not necessarily
So
things that are working. Well, maybe like your self perception of yourself.
yeah, so yeah,
Okay. So, like, okay, discussing the differences between jealousy and insecurity, which really they're like you kind of were saying, there's not much. So, like insecurity being the uncertainty or anxiety about oneself and lack of confidence,
hmm
and jealousy, a state of feeling or being jealous, right? So, jealousy pretty much kind of feeds into insecurity. And some of
they're
the
into
things
one.
that are like rooted in insecurity or rooted in jealousy, like fear of inadequacy, fear of abandonment, fear of being replaced, and fear of being judged, right?
hmm
So when I talk to like my mom friends or like my girlfriends, and I'm sure there's differences like between men and women, and I don't know like when you have conversations like with your friends, if you guys discuss things about like your insecurities or like how you feel like in your relationships or
You
your
don't know what
marriages.
men talk about at all, do you?
That I mean, I'm not a man, so I'm not a man or a father, so like I said, I'm pretty sure the conversations look differently, but when I'm talking to other women or talking to my tribe of moms, we talk about things such as like the fear of being inadequate or the fear of abandonment
Inadequate
or
how?
um I think it comes down to like which is kind of what we're going to be talking about today. It could be something as simple as your partner succeeding in one aspect of life that you don't necessarily feel apt in, or that you don't necessarily feel a part of, where it kind of makes you feel as though they are pulled away from you in that aspect. It's almost like personal success, right? I don't want to get too ahead of like, everything, but we're going to talk about that a little bit about how your personal success or you working on your personal goals and how that could make a partner feel alienated or not close to you or feel like it could inject some part of separation within a relationship when you kind of feel like you're not growing together because you're off doing your own thing that doesn't necessarily involve me,
hmm
in our dynamic. I have always been a cheerleader of you having something for yourself, right?
hmm
Like whether it be like a hobby or whether it be like just like something you do. I personally think that it's healthy that you can have something that not necessarily excludes me, but it's something that you like to do that's kind of like your thing. You know what I mean? It's
hmm
it's your thing. Like when you rode motorcycles, like I didn't do that with
No,
you.
since I ride motorcycles.
We're we have a lot to get through today. I don't really feel like starting a disagreement or an argument during the episode. So, in case you didn't know, that's a hot subject, guys. But like, when you had a motorcycle, that's not something that that's not something that I
I don't
did
know why you keep using past tense.
that's not something that I did with you, right? That's
I wish you
something
did though.
I know, but I mean, like, I did it in the sense when we used to go to your friend's house and like
That didn't
ride in
count.
the neighborhood,
That
but
didn't
I
count.
didn't I didn't like go on trips with you. We weren't like out in the streets together, you know what I
We should have
mean?
been deep in the streets rolling through.
But that was something that you loved to do, right?
That I still love
That
to do.
that you still love to do. But that do you feel like that was your thing? Like when you
That
guys would
was
get up on,
that
in the morning
that
on a
was
Saturday and you guys would take off to Big Bear. I didn't that wasn't something I was necessarily a part of because that's something you did with your group of friends.
I mean, it was one of my things. I think I have multiple things,
Yeah,
and it is one of my things. Like a couple weeks ago when I got up early Saturday and went play basketball for the
with your
first time
friend.
and for a while.
Mhm.
That was I enjoyed myself that day,
Right.
and I brought the whole family breakfast,
That was nice.
and yeah. So I mean like I like doing I think anytime I can do anything where I can really enjoy myself, which is kind of hard now because I feel like in my older age there are less things that I enjoy. So it's like when I find something that I do enjoy, I kind of like hold on
Hold
to it,
on to it.
kind of tough. So
But but that kind of gets me to the point. It's like it's something that's kind of yours, right? It's not necessarily something that you constantly have to bring me in on. And I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay because for me, it lets me know that I also need to try to find something outside of just constantly relying on you to be that emotional
well,
thing for me or that.
I feel like for a while you had you're like deep in your crafting and you're like hashtag craft life.
Oh
Like
yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty heavy in
yeah,
my
but no,
crafting, but
but
if you
it's
talk
not.
when I was first starting,
It wasn't like and it's not like when you first
oh
started.
no, when I first started,
Yeah,
I was like an addict.
but it's like one thing I will say with you is like you always do find something for yourself. Like even back when you used to crochet all the time,
Yeah,
like you would just randomly be crocheting. I'm like, what are you making? I don't know. I'm just
I'm just crocheting to keep my fingers
I'm gonna
busy.
figure out something. I'm gonna figure out what it is once I get halfway done. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, that's okay. But I do like you are adaptable in that sense that you always gravitate towards new things that pique your interest, and I'm more like I'm not gonna try too many new
Yeah,
things. I'm like I'm just gonna go with what I know works.
right. But but I think it's important though because I think it's important to also be fulfilled in your own energy, and it gives us something to like kind of connect over, and not connect in a sense that I like the hobbies that you like, but I also enjoy coming to you and talking to you about something that I learned new with my craft,
Yeah,
or talking to you about, you know what I'm saying?
you be talking too.
Right, but I think it gives us something different to interact about.
Well, it's important because when you've been together as long as we've been together,
Yeah.
you run out of things to talk about. Let's just keep
Yeah, so
like
but it's
you
like
know
the friendship.
yeah
It's
right
like really constantly
yeah
building the friendship. But on the second half of that, getting into more deeper things as far as like we'll talk about like growth, you know. I heard on a podcast clip that I had saw on my timeline, um a young lady was talking about how you never want to grow without your partner,
facts.
and but how she set it up was, and granted it was a clip, so I didn't like listen to the whole
Get the
episode,
whole
it was a clip,
context.
yeah, I didn't get the whole context. But she said that you never want to go off and do something, like try something new, do something new and not include your partner. If it's something that you feel like you're finding success in and you want to pursue it more, like even if you're
I
good
think
at
that
it,
varies.
that's what I'm saying. Even if you're good at it, she's like, don't do it because it's going to make your partner either feel like you're leaving them behind, right? And we've had this conversation before
Yeah,
that nobody wants to feel like they're being left
right.
behind, right? And I think for women, that's where like the whole insecurity thing kind of comes in,
Hmm.
because if you start moving in a way where I feel like it's not including me, or you start doing things that are different, that's outside of your norm, and it's you like growing and becoming like a different person, a different man, your focus is different, you're doing other things that's not your norm. Well, that's gonna start making me think in some way, shape, or form, like, okay, so what I'm doing, is that not good enough anymore? Like, even though you haven't said that, you haven't given off that type of energy, but now I see that you're starting to move a different way. So automatically, for me, it's gonna make me think like, okay, maybe I should start moving a different way. Because what if the
Give me
version of me is not gonna be good enough for the new version of him he's becoming?
okay, give me a example of that.
Um, so, okay, an example, and this was a skit. This was like it was on TikTok. But oh no, I guess I'll give you another example. No, I'll do that one. Okay. So she was talking about how her husband started going to the gym,
Okay,
right? And she doesn't go to the gym. Her husband started going to the gym. He's getting into shape. He's starting to look good. He's starting to meal prep, things like that. You know, now he's starting to get more female attention,
okay,
and now his attitude is also kind of differing because he's getting that attention, so that does really good for your morale, does really good for, like that confidence booster, right?
hmm
So she was talking about how that could make, like, that was making her feel some type of way because she doesn't get in the gym, she's not like out there
but
like killing it like he is.
yeah, that's crazy.
It can be crazy, like, if you're thinking about it in the surface, right? But as his wife, who had 3 kids, and she's at home all day, and when he comes home, It's like, I've been with kids all day. She also homeschooled.
So
She
then let me ask you this. Before I broke my ankle
uh-huh.
and I was like 4 months in of like going to the gym,
And you looked
I was
chef's
I
kiss, your
was I
arms.
was 4 months in going to the gym 5, 6 days a week.
Uh,
Did you feel some type of way about me going to the gym 5, 6 days a week?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, because I gained all my weight back in those 3 months
No,
I
I
was hurt.
didn't. I didn't. And
I did
and
terrible.
the reason why I didn't, like, for me personally,
Yeah.
is because, like, we've had these conversations, especially with our family history as far as like health and chronic diseases.
Right.
Right? So you getting into shape is not, it's not making me feel any type of way.
Because
What
it
it what
does
it's
save
doing, what
lives.
it's doing for me is making me feel like, okay, he's taking the effort to ensure that he does what he needs to do to try to not have to be a part of all the things
I'm
that we
just trying to be
know.
around for my grandkids.
Right. So and it's like I feel like I reaped the benefits of that because, like I said, your arms and your neck was chef's kiss. Like, I even had this conversation. I told you I had this conversation with my dad. When
Wow.
I told
Wow.
I had this conversation with my dad, and I was telling my daddy, I was like, Dad, I said he had been going to the gym like 5 days a week consecutive, didn't miss a day. And I was like, my husband's arms. I said, if I could just carry those arms with me all day, like, chef's kiss. I can't say anymore. And now that you're like back in the gym and he's been hitting the gym like super hard, and like you were showing me your forearm and stuff the other day, and I was like, yeah,
My back.
yeah, buddy.
Slowly
Yeah,
but surely, I'm gonna get back.
but it's not, for me anyway, I it doesn't make me feel insecure.
Okay.
If anything, I would say it motivates me more
To go to gym.
to go to the, I mean, I've never had a problem going to the gym. It's just like once I get off track, I get off track.
I
Like,
mean,
when I'm on it, I'm on it.
yeah, yeah, you is.
Yes, when I'm
Yeah,
on it,
yeah. When you on it, you on it. You
I
own
am
it.
on it.
You
But
own
when
it.
I get off track, I'm off track. Like, I get I get off track.
We was talking about
S-
two different things there.
I know you were. You're just so disgusting. But I can really see how that can
Mm.
cause like some insecurities.
Yeah.
Me personally, I've had insecurities, and what I try to do personally, if I find myself in a situation where I'm feeling insecure, excuse me, about my place in our relationship, I really do try to think about where it's coming from.
Well, when have you felt insecure, and what made you feel that way?
Oh, look at you getting ahead of the game in the
Well,
notes.
I mean, because I don't think I've. Well, I mean, I probably have.
um I would say for me, it's weird because for me, like, I can be a very productive person when I need to be, right? And
Very productive.
it's usually when I know that like I have stuff like to do, right? With you, I feel like sometimes you're very good about addressing things and getting things like done. Like, if we have stuff that we really need to do or get to, you want to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you want to get to it, and it's like dun 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 dun. And then
I'm trying to be back in the house by 1.
when I don't tackle it that way, for me, it kind of makes me feel like you're looking at me almost like, damn, you really being lazy. Right? Just like, okay, for instance,
I don't say you're being lazy. I
I
just
know,
we operate 2 different ways. Like I'm the early bird. You're more like let me sleep in.
right.
But when I get up, I'm gonna be up. I'm gonna be on it. But a lot of times when you're ready to be on it, I'm like we should have been done. Like
Right. Okay. So, but another instance is like, was it yesterday, day before yesterday? And when we went to breakfast this morning, and you were like, "Man, you were on it with the sending me TikToks and Instagram clips,
yeah.
right?"
Oh, you was on
Because
it.
I had sent him like a ton of
Like
Instagram clips,
25 back to back.
and so he made a comment. He made a
Instagram,
comment
TikTok,
this
Instagram,
morning.
TikTok.
He made a comment this morning, and he was like, he said, "I was about to text you. I'm pretty sure there's some cleaning or something you could be doing while you sitting here sitting all these TikToks back and forth." Right? Instantly, I kind of got a little defensive, didn't
Yeah.
I?
Yeah, no, not little. You got all the way defensive.
Right. So, and I did that because in the back of my mind, or not even in the back, in the forefront of my mind, immediately what that made me feel like and think is, he thinks I'm being lazy. I don't want my husband to think that I'm lazy. I
I didn't
don't
think
want
you were
my
being
husband.
lazy. I just think you was a
I had
little
too
too
much time on my
a
hand.
little too because you got I'm at work, I'm working, and my watch, my whole wrist is vibrating, you know, like I'm at a massage therapist or something because my wife is sending me back to back to back. I said, she finna kill my battery.
I know,
What is
but our daughter is off of school. She had like the last 2 days of the week, she was out of school. And so I was telling him I was sending like I was scrolling a little bit in between our games. I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I played 10 games of freaking Uno.
lost all
I
10.
played 10 games of freaking Connect
Lost all
4.
10.
We went outside for like 2 hours so that we could not be in the house all day and get some vitamin D. Watched her play in the yard, played soccer with her, played freaking basketball with a hula hoop. Like, I was telling him, I was like, it seems like I was sitting down just scrolling. I was like, but that was literally in between, like her running to go like get the ball or something, or in between us setting up the game for Connect Four, in between our next game for Uno. Like, I was telling him, I was like, yeah, but you also didn't have to entertain a 6 year old for 48 hours. I was like, because I could have just had her connected to the TV or an iPad for the whole day that she was at home. Like
She
for
didn't have you play Barbie store?
but oh gosh, we played Barbie store.
That's her favorite thing.
But when you made that comment, what I'm saying is you made that comment, and all of these things went into my
Yeah.
head, and it made me feel some type of way because I always try to be conscious of, or it's a thing of mine, of how I may look to you,
Right.
because how I look to you or how you perceive me is important to me
And
because I care about that. And when you made that comment, I was just like, "Oh no, like he thinks I was being lazy."
and
Like, and I wasn't being lazy.
and to your defense, I probably shouldn't have said it because I know how my wife is, and even though there's been times in the past where I've said very surface level things,
I know.
and like not, and then you take it and it becomes
I
like
run with it.
it becomes a full thesis.
I run with it.
Like you by the time you've thought about it, you've had your doctoral presentation.
Bye.
You,
Goodbye.
like it's a whole
Goodbye.
argument off of something I said like
And you didn't mean it to be
jokingly
that
or
way,
yeah,
right?
and so I was like, so part of it after I said it today, I was like, I should have known better. I said because normally I'm pretty good at not saying things that's gonna rile you up because I don't be having the energy because you like to come out of the blue with like these deep questions and catch me
Oh,
off guard.
like I caught you off guard today?
Yeah, like I don't like I'm like really like you wait till I'm like in my most exhausted state because I feel like well
That's all the time. So there's never a good moment.
because I feel like you be trying to catch me off guard so you can get you be like, oh, if
I'm gonna
ask me
get the
now,
best answer.
I'm gonna get the honesty now. I feel like that's what you be trying to do,
I don't.
but I mean to your it was my
But
and if that's how you felt by me saying that, I do apologize
I
because
appreciate
I
that.
didn't mean it that way.
But I like
But you
I
could have been doing
said,
something else and then y'all on goddamn TikTok and
bye.
Instagram.
But like I was saying too, that also just makes me think a little bit deeper about myself and like where does that come from? You know what I
hmm
mean? Like why do I feel like that's what you're saying without saying it? What is it about me and how I perceive myself?
hmm
Because when I try to sit and ponder on it, it's something that's within me. Like, how is it? Where is the judgment that I have for myself
Right,
that I'm like projecting it onto you and saying like, "Oh, you're trying to say that I'm lazy." Is it because that I think myself as lazy?
and that's why I
Am
was
I thinking of myself
and
as
that's
undisciplined?
and that touches bases on what I was trying to say earlier. When it comes to jealousy and insecurity, it's more of an internal thing because it's about the internal dialogue you're having with
With
yourself,
yourself,
right?
right?
And a lot of times, what you're feeling inside is not being validated or even implied by the other person. You're just internalizing those things in that faction.
Right. But I like how just like now where we like talked that out and you recognize that it would be important for me that you apologize and you apologize because you didn't have to,
Right.
right? You didn't have to. So I think, that's really important too, which is validating each other's feelings,
hmm
whether or not it's whether you think it's a delusion or not.
But me apologizing to you, that's part of me that's part of the security and the protection I provide you.
Yeah.
Because like I've always said, like it's not my job just to protect you physically. It's my job to also protect you emotionally and mentally as much as I can as well.
Mhm. So, that kind of takes me into the next kind of section, which is what we kind of talked about a little bit about like can your partner's personal success create an insecurity or jealousy in the other partner? And if so, why do you think that happens?
I absolutely think it can
Why do you
because
think that
the
happens?
other person has, like I said, begin they have had the internal dialogue in which now they're trying to compare what they do to what they partner do, and they're starting to feel insufficient. And then
Right.
once you start to feel insufficient, you have no um from that point on, it's going to be insecurity and jealousy, and not jealousy in a way where it's like malice jealousy, but jealousy in a way where I wish I was
I
able
wish
to
I was able to do
do
that.
this, or I wish I was doing this, right?
Mhm.
So like, yeah, if you feel like you're not meeting your partner on their level, of course that's going to happen because now you feel like, well, damn, like, is it possible for them to go find someone who is
Right.
at their level because
Right.
I'm slacking behind? So
Right.
like that, like I said, that's a double edged sword. That you're either gonna take that and motivate yourself to elevate, or you're gonna take that and it's gonna just run you into the ground, and you're gonna be, and then now you're gonna start projecting things that are not there just to try to make yourself feel better about the situation you're in.
So, okay, so I want to kind of pick out something you just said. You said, are you going to elevate yourself, like
Hmm.
elevate to the level at which they are?
Yeah.
Does it always have to be a situation where you have to level up to where they are?
No.
What if, because I say that because if one person is having a significant amount of success than the other person, like if you're when you're in a marriage, right? Like
Hmm.
let's say for instance you are killing it at work, you are on the fast pace, you are getting promotions, you are making 10 times more money, you have gotten in the gym, you've elevated your fitness, I mean your physique, you've elevated your physical, you've elevated your mental, you're reading more, you want to be more social, you've changed your social surroundings, like you're really elevating yourself, right?
Hmm.
And prior to that elevation, you never had any complaints about your partner. You never complained that your partner didn't read as much. You never complained that your partner didn't go to the gym. You never complained, like that was never a thing. You never complained that your
Right.
partner didn't make money. That was never a complaint. But because now you've gone on this personal journey where you felt like something in your life wasn't right and you felt like elevating yourself was something that you needed to do, hold on, for
Hmm.
yourself to make you feel self-fulfilled, do you think that it's fair to now look at the partner that you didn't have a problem with how they were living the life and how you guys were coexisting
I will.
prior, but now all of a sudden you're looking at your partner and it's like your partner is subpar because now you feel like you've elevated yourself. But in doing that, you know, does it is it
I will.
fair now to look at your partner?
I will say two things. I will say yes and no. I would say no because if I accepted if this is who you were, and I loved everything about you when I met you, and that's who you are. If you don't rise from there, I can accept the fact that you are still the person I fell in love with. Right now, I say on the flip side of that, if I met you and you seem to have just as much ambition as I do, and now I'm acting on my ambition and you're staying stagnant, then yeah, because now I was sold a false dream. You know what I'm saying? Now I right, listen to what I'm saying, right? Because like if we met here, we're both here, right? We're both here,
Mm.
and we got dreams, we got goals. We said we're gonna accomplish this. We got plans to do this, and I'm moving,
No,
but
without
you're,
the set
you know
goals
what I'm saying?
together though. I'm talking about individually. I'm not talking about you and I sat down and we made a goal and this is what we're going to do. I'm talking about
And I'm
you
talking
I'm
about
talking about you and I'm talking
I'm
about
talking,
just like we were using us
and
as a hypothetical. We were fine.
okay,
And then all of a
what
sudden
I'm
now
saying.
I go off and I'm just like,
Okay, and this is what I'm saying. My answer stays the same, yes and no, because we were fine because we were both at the early stages of our ambition. But if I act on my ambition and you don't, I have a right to feel some type of way because a lot of times when you get together as young and when you get together young, we're getting together to build something, and so we both have to be a driving force towards what we're building. Now, if we get together and like I said before, if I love you as is, like the package that walked through the door and we're bonding, because at your core, you're not going to change to the point to where I don't know you. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you would hope.
Right, you will hope so, right? But I can also see on the other side of the spectrum where it's like now as I'm elevating or as they're elevating, their needs, their desires, and their interests now change. So there is a like we talked about a pods ago. It's like now it's about constantly dating, constantly figuring out each other. Because as I grow mentally and physically, my interests are going to change and my
Exactly.
and my beliefs are going to change. So now, like, yeah, there's a lot of times where, hey, yeah, at 25, we may have been like on the competitive episode. At 25, we may have been extremely compatible. But now
At 35.
at 35, I'm 5, 6 years ahead of you, and I'm like, hey, I need you to be here with me. It's like a lot of times it's not like, oh, I'm gonna leave you because you're not here. I know for most men, it's like, hey, if you would just put the effort in to meet me somewhere where I'm at, I can accept that. But what as men, I feel like a lot of times what we don't want to do is we don't want to come home or look back at our partner and all we see is the reflection of our younger self. The reflection of ourself that we're trying to outgrow. You see what I'm saying?
So is that kind of like okay, so then that kind of makes me ask the kind of think of the question
Let, let me
about
let
oh,
me
go
ask you
ahead,
this.
finish your thought.
Let me ask you this. As things are today, if I was behaving and moving the way I was moving in 2009, would you still be married to me?
Say that again?
If I was behaving and moving the way I was in 2009, would you still be married to
Like
me?
if you that would be regressing. So if you
Answer the
regressed,
question. If I never changed from 2009,
oh, if you
and
never changed
and
at
I'm
all.
and I'm still this, I'm saying I'm still the same Maurice.
Mhm.
Like I'm still loyal to you.
Mhm.
I'm still I'm not
He's a
doing
good man, Savannah.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just not performing my duties as a
Like you're
husband.
not progressing in
I'm
life.
not progressing in life. I'm not performing. But here you are. You've managed your two stores. You've run 10 million dollar counter. You've done all this. Are you still married to me? And I'm just at home playing video games and working 6 hours a day.
Me personally,
Be honest. Keep it honest. Would you still
me
marry?
personally, um, part of me says yes and part of me says no.
I call cap.
Let me tell you
I
why.
call cap. I call cap. I call cap because this is the same Carnation that gave me an
I was
ultimatum.
just gonna say because I knew you was gonna bring that up. I knew you were gonna. Okay,
This is the same
okay.
Carnation that
Let
gave me an
let hold
ultimatum.
on. Let me
Said
put the.
that
Let
she,
me bring the people up to speed.
no, said no. You ain't gotta bring up the speed. Just know that life wasn't gravy. I was messing up, and my wife gave me an ultimatum. And this is the same woman that just sat here and said she would still marry me when she literally told me that if I didn't change, she was ready to leave.
I was
But
out. I was like, you need to get your shit together. I gotta go. I said, I
So
can't foresee
so
the next
now so
15
now
years
do
like
you
this,
now do you
bruh.
see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, I
like
see
it's
what you
not
mean.
that the man wants to leave the woman.
Yeah.
He just wants the woman to progress at least a little bit. Put
Hmm.
effort in, and I think that what it comes down to. It comes down to you see the effort I'm putting in to make this life great for us. Give me a little bit of that effort as well.
Okay,
That's what it
fair.
comes down
And
to.
I can hear I hear that and I see that and using us as a prime example was great. Um
Right.
I think
So I'm telling you, no, I'm just playing
listen here. Um I think though, oh gosh, I kind of lost my train of thought, but anywho.
because I was speaking facts about you capping
Oh, that's
everything.
what I was gonna say. Okay. So yes, it was like an ultimatum, right? Like ultimately,
No, it
that's what
wasn't like it
it
was.
was. It was an ultimatum. And it was very early in our relationship. We were in our early 20s and I had essentially given him the ultimatum of um, you know, he needs to invest in himself, right? In order to be this amazing partner and husband that he has sold me on because like how you said, I feel like I was sold, like in the I, what we were talking about
Yeah,
earlier when you were like, I would have felt like I was sold, a dream.
yeah.
That's kind of like how it felt in the beginning. Like you sold me
Mhm.
a dream of what our life and what my life could be like if I agreed to be your wife, right?
And I was
But
the same.
how you're behaving and how you're going about your own life in this season of our relationship is not very promising and it's not aligned with the vision that you're selling me of the benefit of
Right.
being your wife.
Right.
So I broke it down to you that way by saying, like, I am willing to do this with you.
Mhm.
I am willing to go the long haul with you. But what I'm not willing to do is for you not to put in the effort into yourself. Right.
And that's what I'm
And
saying. If
okay,
I'm elevating,
okay, into yourself. But
right.
I think what made that work is because there was communication, there was accountability, there was trust. It didn't come from a place of like
Malice,
malice.
no.
It didn't come from a place of like anger. And I think that was the difference, right?
Mhm.
In a lot of the relationships and the conversations that I've had when we talk about insecurity and jealousy and things like that, or when one partner is progressing and the other partner is not, the one thing that is missing is the communication. Because, like we said earlier, nobody wants to feel like they're being left behind. I don't want to feel like you're living and moving in a completely different direction that doesn't involve me. So, if you could, even if you just said, like, hey, if your partner doesn't like to play video games or something, fine, you can find something that you can have a conversation with them about or try to invite them in on,
Mm,
right? I
mhm.
think it's about keeping that line of communication open, and it's about also being honest with your feelings. Like, if you're feeling insecure, hey, I'm feeling insecure because I'm low key feeling like you're abandoning me. I'm low key feeling like you are off in the world doing something completely different that doesn't involve me. And now what am I supposed to do?
But I think in that, my response to that would be, I've invited you to do things I'm interested in. You have no interest in that, right? So now I do think that it is kind of on my shoulders to find something that we can do together, so that you don't feel like I'm just a completely different person altogether.
Yeah,
But it's also on you to understand, like, yeah, my husband's not leaving me. He just has this interest that I'm not interested in.
right.
Like, he just has this new hobby that, because when things are new, you want to do it all the
All
time.
the time.
You want to get it out your system. So
Mhm.
I can understand how you feel, like with the motorcycle. I can understand how you feel like, oh, he's every free day he has, he's going somewhere on that
Yeah.
damn motorcycle.
And I was fine. Like, I was fine with the aspect of you having your thing. I didn't like the fact that your thing was motorcycles. For good
We're
reason.
not gonna
We're
talk about
not
that.
gonna talk about that. I'm just saying, but
But
I'm like,
right,
like I said, I was excited that you had your thing, and I think that that is important.
right.
But I think where the insecurity can start settling in is where there's not the communication of trying to reassure your partner that there's not necessarily anything to worry about.
But I also
You
felt
working on yourself shouldn't make me feel insecure.
right. But I also feel like I can only reassure you so much,
Yeah.
to the point to where now you have to deal with your own demons. Because obviously, it doesn't matter what I'm saying to you or how I'm communicating to you. You're in your own head, and you can't win the battle inside your own head.
Right.
So now you're interpreting my words to mean something completely different from what I'm saying, and you're not taking what I'm saying as self value. You're taking what I'm saying, you're internalizing it, and then you're spitting it out as something that fits the narrative of your current thinking, of your current conscious. And then that's where the insecurity comes in, because like with the gym, I know I was going hard in the gym. I never once said to you, "Hey, I think you should get in the gym," or I never said,
No, ever.
right? I never said, no. I never pushed that onto you, right? But so if you were to come to me and say, "Well, I felt like," no, I mean, how would you feel this way? Because I'm not coming to you and say, "Hey, you need to do this, this, and this," right? All I'm asking of you as your husband, no matter what I'm doing, what I'm climbing, is that you continue to be my wife and continue to support me in the way that you've been supporting me, regardless of what my new interests are.
Right. And I think that's perfectly said. I just think going back to, like I said, you with some people, some women, it's easy to see how that insecurity can settle in though. You know what I mean? Or even with men. I mean, you guys probably just don't admit to it as often as women do, but I can see how the insecurity or the like insecurity, jealousy kind of thing can settle in, or feeling inadequate and feeling like being judged because if you're off doing something that's really amazing, or like if you're off making tons of money and stuff, and it's now I don't meet you in that area. Is he judging me for it? I'm not
I don't
saying
even think it
us,
has to
I'm just
be.
saying in general,
I
these are
know, but
things
I don't even
in
think it has.
conversation that I have come
I
across
don't even
with
think it has
other
to be
women.
that deep. I think it could be something as, you know, if one of the other have has a larger friend group,
Yeah.
and they have more people to reach out to. And then the other one felt, well, I don't have friends like you have friends. And it's
Right.
like, but it's not
Right.
on me. You know, it's not on me to try to get you friends, right? That's something you have to do yourself. And then I also feel like my friends shouldn't necessarily be your friends. You know what I'm saying? Like they should be cordial with you because you are my wife, but my friends are my friends are your friends, and then that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
we're
we have couple
yeah,
friends.
right.
Yeah.
But it's like there has to be there has to be, I don't want to say rules, but there has to be understandings in that area of life. Like I don't expect you to be buddy buddy with my friends. You know, just
Right.
how you wouldn't expect me to be buddy buddy with your friends.
No, I
You know what I'm
actually
saying?
would think that's kind of like
Kind of weird.
independently,
Right.
like buddy buddy
Yeah.
with them independently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
No,
You
I
know?
wouldn't go for that actually.
But the way you text my brother. But anyway, um,
That's my brother-in-law.
I'm just playing. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like that can also be a level of insecurity for someone. It's like because if you're in a relationship and one's social and one's antisocial, obviously
Right.
the social person is going to have way more people to communicate.
Right.
So when they're going through stuff, they have more people to
The
reach out to.
outreach.
They have more
Mhm.
ears to listen to. Whereas the other person may feel like, well, I'm all alone. I have, you know what I'm saying?
I don't have anybody an outlet
And I
to.
can't even talk to my partner because we're on the outs. So who
Yeah.
do I relate to? And
Yeah.
so when it gets to something like that, I can see where
The jealousy
the
part.
jealousy and the insecurity comes because now you're comparing your situation to your partner's situation, even though your situation has nothing to do with your partner.
Right.
I mean, unless they're like keeping you from having friends, you shouldn't be in that situation anyway.
Yeah.
But unless it's something like that, then yeah, I can see that's where the jealousy and the insecurity come in.
Yeah. Well said. Very well said. Um, yeah,
I mean, I
so
went to college. I just didn't finish.
I'm gonna pray
Oh
for
nine
you.
was a rough year, y'all.
It really was. It was not the greatest year
It was
ever.
a rough year.
But yeah, so and another thing that you have mentioned is like the comparing.
Right.
That's another huge aspect of it is comparing. When you start comparing yourself to your spouse or comparing your spouse to other people, that's where a little bit of the judgment also seeps in,
Hmm.
right? You should never be making statements like such and such wife does this, such and such husband does this, or anything to like that effect,
Right.
especially when you're dealing with
It's
something
kind of,
like
but that's
insecurity
kind of
with your
hard
partner.
because I feel like, especially among couple friends and couple friends, we're always comparing what spouses do to what other
But you
spouses do.
really shouldn't.
I mean,
You
hold on.
absolutely should
I didn't
not.
say I agree
Yeah.
because what's tolerable in your house may not be tolerable in my house,
Right.
right? I'm not saying you can agree, but I do think that you listen and cre- you create a floor, so to speak, like a certain like a level, a floor level of what expected and like what should be done, like because I mean I would say most of my friendships are mostly like for the most part traditional type roles.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, like, you create it's hard not to compare. Cause sometimes you compare, you're like, oh shit, it ain't so bad over here.
You be like, "Oh no, couldn't be me."
So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, but all in all, I think, like I said in the beginning, insecurity and jealousy is something that will kind of affect everybody in some shape or form, especially when you are in a relationship
Hmm.
long term when you're married. It's kind of like the ebbs and flows of marriage, right?
You love saying ebbs and flows.
Oh, do I?
You love it.
I should make a shirt. It's kind of like the normal up and downs.
Okay. I will say this. I don't really I'm not a jealous person.
Hmm.
I'm not an insecure person, but I will say this that sometimes full transparency,
Hmm.
sometimes I do feel inadequate when not necessarily in the marriage, but as a father, because I don't always give her the time I feel like she deserves. So in that regards, I feel inadequate. And the only jealousy I would will say I have is that I do sometimes get a little jealous about the time you get to have with her. 'Cause it's like, yeah, like we were saying a couple pods ago, like, we can all be home, and but it's still mommy, 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 and I'm like, Daddy will do it for you
Like, he's sitting right
if you would just
there.
ask that, like, I want to do this for you,
Yeah,
but it's like, so that, like, I do get jealous, like, mommy gets to go to all the practices, and mommy gets to pick her up from school, and mommy
yeah.
and so, like, so, like, that part, like, that affects me, and I feel that way. That's why I feel like every time we're all together or we go out somewhere, I go so hard for her. Like, yeah, just so you know, I understand that daddy's not always home. Daddy can't always take anything, but like, I want you to know that daddy loves you just as much, if not more, mostly more than mommy.
Oh, wow.
I do,
Not mostly more.
mostly more.
Okay, I don't know. Did you hear the conversation her and I had last night about
Uh,
her being in my belly? Y'all can't you see? You can't have conversations like that.
I don't. She before you,
You won't be that close. Like you'll be
bef-
close,
before
but
she
you'll never be as close as
before she was in your belly. Where was
don't
she
you
at?
say it. Don't you say it. Don't you
Where was
say
she at before she was in your belly?
in heaven.
Okay,
She was in heaven.
right, heaven to you.
She was in heaven with
You know what I'm
Jesus.
saying?
But yeah, so I mean the takeaway I would say is always, 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 it's gonna be communication. Like you would be surprised how much you can get through
Open and
if
honest
open and
communication.
honest communication.
You have to
Yes.
be able to effectively listen.
Yes.
Don't active listen.
Empathetically listen.
That's it.
You have to empathetically listen. And what is the difference? Some of you might say active listening, it could
Listening
be
is
like
listening to
listening to
respond.
respond. Empathetically listening
It's to
is listening to
understand.
understand
Right.
and gain an understanding of your partner. Okay? And like that takes practice, especially depending on the subject in which what you
Oh,
guys are trying to
it
discuss.
takes
It takes
a
a lot
lot
of
of practice.
practice. It takes a lot of practice. And just to kind of go back to what we talked about, I think it's like the first or second episode of the pod, when I think about stuff like this, like the insecurity, the jealousy, lack of communication, lack of intimacy, all of that stuff, all this stuff is the work that is marriage.
Hmm.
This is the work that is marriage. When people talk about, marriage be hard and things like that, or when you hear couples talk about, it ain't easy, this is the work. This is
Hmm.
the work because you're going to go through the moments where you are feeling inadequate. You feel like you're being judged. You feel like you're not being heard. You feel like your sex life is off. You feel like you guys don't get time together. You feel like you're growing apart. The work comes in trying to survive the lows and getting back to an even ground of foundation, relearning your partner, and trying to somewhat reinvent your relationship if that's what needs to happen. Because in order to work through your issues, work through your problems, to try to create longevity within a marriage, you're going to have to get dirty. You're going to have to, you're going to have to feel the feels, and it's not gonna feel good all the time.
Hmm.
You don't get to 20 years, you don't get to 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and so on without without some grit. You don't get there with happy faces and hearts. Like
Yeah.
he's for no matter what happens, this right here, this is my person. He is my person, right? And I'm gonna
I
go to
like the
bat.
idea of this.
I'm you. Remember that just reminded me of when I was having feelings.
Yes.
Him. I'm gonna go to bat for him, and I'm gonna put in the work that I need to put in until either death do us part, which is
Hmm.
what we agreed to, or God forbid something else happens.
Hmm.
You know. But my intention is to go through all of this with you,
Right.
everything, right?
Also, like, you have to be. I always say this. You have to be selfless. And it has to be on both sides because you're not gonna make it unless you're selfless. And being selfless you is something that's not easy to be because if you're selfless, then you can be empathetic. Then you can actually listen to understand and understand that just because they feel this way doesn't it's not a
Attack on you.
attack on me.
Mhm.
This is just how they feel.
Yeah.
And then if you care as a partner or as a spouse, then you make the necessary adjustments. But that has to be a two-way street. And a lot of times I feel like people don't understand, like, a relationship is always going to be give and take, give and take, give and take. And you have to choose your battles. And like I've said previously, like I understand, like I am willing to lose a ton of battles. I am not going to sit here and argue with you or complain about things that just don't matter that much to me. If this is how you want to be done, this is how it's done. I would rather put my energy into the things that really matter to me, because a lot of times I would say, especially in our history, um, we haven't really had too many arguments where we both really care. A lot of times it's kind of like, okay, we'll just do it your way because I don't really care how what happens type deal. But at the same time, I give us credit because we have grown to really be selfless in our marriage, and I think that's why things work so much that we can have disagreements, we can have arguments, we can go a couple days without speaking too much to each other, but we know at the end of the day, like you said, this is my person, I'm her person, and we're gonna be okay. Like, yeah, we're gonna spend a couple days, get it out of our system, and when we get to a headspace a week where we can actually have a conversation about what's happened, then we'll have that conversation. So that way, there is no jealousy,
Yep.
there is no insecurity. We can literally have an open, honest conversation about it and put and just lay things on the table and figure it out.
And if it ever gets to a point where we really just can't figure it out, or we're just on opposite ends, then you also have to know when
We
it's
just
time to inject a
Yeah,
third party.
and sometimes you
Because
just have to
sometimes you
agree to
need help.
disagree.
You need help.
Yeah,
If you can't get that help through advice with other married friends, if you can't get that help through, another married couple who have are a really experienced married couple
yeah.
who have worked through these things, then you need to try therapy. Like, you need to try hit all the bases. If you are willing and still wanting to be in the marriage, you need to hit all bases and do whatever it is that needs to be done to stay involved in your marriage, right?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna happen. It's like it's inevitable. Nobody's relationship is perfect, right? So I think that was pretty good, babe. I really think
Nobody's
that.
perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
Now to one of my favorite
but you're
portions
perfect for me.
of the pod. We
What is it?
introduced it last
A
week.
couple weeks ago.
Our 2 cents.
It was a couple weeks ago, babe.
Oh, was it a
You
couple
got to
weeks?
get your
I
timeline together.
really do. I don't I'm sorry. Anywho, our 2 cents reactions. Some feedback. Here we go. Insecure in my marriage. I'm a 40-year-old female and I'm married to a 38-year-old male for many
Oh, she's
years.
42.
She's 40 and he's 38.
Oh, 2 years ago. That's fine.
He's very friendly and bubbly. He's also a perfectionist. I'm the total opposite. I feel insecure all my friends and family because all my friends and family are drawn to him and I'm forgotten. He draws people in with his personality. Having said that, he also gets a lot of attention from other women, strangers, and acquaintances. Someone is always hitting on him, and I don't know how to deal with it. He does enjoy the attention he gets. I want to embrace him and his personality, and I'm having a really hard time. I'm insecure with my husband's personality and the attention he receives from other women. Help.
I would say that same personality that you're insecure about now is what drew you to him. So this is not nothing new. And I would say this is something that you need to work out yourself, because you're not saying your husband's doing anything wrong.
Right.
Because any person that's sociable and outgoing, they're going to get attention because people most likely feel at ease talking to him. He's probably approachable. He probably, has a good sense of humor. He can attract,
He does well in a
and
social
right, and he's
setting.
probably a joy to be around. And not
Mhm.
only that, your family is drawn to him because they feel like he's just a good guy and you guys are a good mish. So I feel like what you're going through is, like I said earlier in this episode, is like that's something that you need to work on yourself, because at the end of the day, your husband's not doing anything wrong. So
It sounds like he's being himself.
right. So you need to figure out what it is about yourself that is hindering you to
Mm.
accept his behavior, or what you need to change about yourself to be able to accept his behavior. Because at the end of the day, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just being himself.
You know what I think it is too sometimes? I think it's because because I feel like that's kind of like our dynamic. I'm the more sociable one in our relationship, right?
Mhm.
But I think what ends up happening when the insecurity thing starts to happen, I think the person who's feeling insecure is expecting the partner to somehow want them to be like them. Does that make sense? So like
Mhm.
if you were the sociable one and I'm like the non-sociable one and I'm insecure because you have such a great outgoing personality, the insecurity could be coming from me thinking you want me to be like that.
And
And be
that's not necessarily
but
true.
that's what I'm saying, because otherwise, why would you feel insecure that your husband has such an outgoing personality and that people are attracted to him? Now, I can
It could be it like you said, it could be an insecurity thing because now she's feeling like
it's the opposite sex attention.
it's the yeah, the other so she, 'cause you feel the same way too. Anytime there's a interest of opposite sex or the interaction, you're like, women, y'all mark territory.
Oh, well, that's just because I know how hoes can be. But that don't that don't no, that's just because I know that's just because I know how these things is moving
But
out here in these
I
days.
will say this, like to your point, you are the more sociable one, right?
Mhm.
But we've been together so long that I've picked up some of your sociable habits.
You have.
Like,
Mhm.
but it's also a switch I'm able to hit. Like I can be sociable when I need to be and introvert when I want to be. I always say I am a introverted extrovert. Like
Right.
I'm a selective extrovert. Like if I'm comfortable around my surroundings or if I'm in a situation where I have to maybe, put on a little charm to get what I need or get a deal done, I can do that. But so in that regards, I have picked up some of your traits, and I feel like in this situation, if she would possibly mirror her husband's relationship and be close to him, not relationship, but personality, and be close to him, eventually they're gonna rub off on each other,
Yeah.
and she's gonna become a little more sociable. And because what kind of throws me is the part about her family, because it's like if you can't be sociable around your whole around your family, and
Yeah.
you're 40, like these are people you've known for 40 years.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not comfortable to be sociable around them, then you need to really take a look at yourself.
I think also too, like going back to the portion that she mentioned about him getting the female attention. Um, if she's already feeling insecure and inadequate in the aspect that he just has a bubbly personality, he has an outgoing personality, I can see how the attention from other women kind of makes that insecurity that she naturally has
But
heightened.
but he can't control that.
He can't control that, but on the same token, he also could do things just like reassure her, like we talked about earlier, right? It's like, yes, I can't control what other women say to me or if other women are trying to hit on me, but I can reassure you that you have nothing to worry about.
Sometimes I also feel like I'm gonna say from my point of view,
Mhm.
I feel like I shouldn't have to reassure you because if you think about the situation logically, I don't have time to entertain hoes. You know my schedule.
Okay, we're not talking about
Hold
me
on.
and you.
I'm just saying she probably knows his schedule. She probably knows where he's at, what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times that when you're the insecure person, they're making up so many things in their head of what could
Yes, that's what it is.
of what could possibly be
Yes,
that they're
that's
not thinking
exactly what it
they're not
is.
thinking logically,
That's
right?
exactly
So
what's
like
happening.
so like I'm just using I'm not saying you're insecure or anything like that. Like as an example, like that okay, I'm up at this time I'm at the gym, I come back, and then from the
Mhm.
gym I come straight back home.
Yep.
Like there's no time for me to interact
Yep.
with anybody. Then I'm home from this point. I go to work. I'm at home. I'm at work all day. I'm at work all day
Right.
because you have my location.
Right.
Then I text you I'm on my way home, and for he texted me 10 minutes ago. He should be pulling up in
Right.
10 minutes. So it's like a lot of like if you use the logic in the situation, it's like it's impossible he could be doing anything.
Yeah, but that's the thing about self thoughts, and
They're
a
damaging.
lot of people like to think that they are their thoughts. You are not your thoughts, by the way. That's why they start running off in a rampant like that. It goes back to earlier what I said about when you made the comment to me about I was about to text you that there's some cleaning or something you needed to do when I was sending you all the TikToks.
Mhm.
Immediately my brain started ramping up, and it's like he thinks I'm lazy. He thinks I didn't do anything. He thinks this. He thinks that. And it's like you weren't thinking any of those things. But that's
At
what
all.
I've put my in my head that you're thinking, and then I immediately put that off to you. as you're saying it's something you didn't say any of those things. That's all of the stuff that my brain ramped up
Right.
because that created an insecurity in me. And so again, going back to what I said earlier, when you really stop to think about that,
You're
you
crazy.
really do have to look inward to see where that's coming from. Now, there are cases where you have a partner who could be making you like helping that. Don't get me
Mm,
wrong.
mhm.
Don't get me wrong. You do have relationships like that. I've seen it. You do have relationships where you do have a partner who is feeding into an insecurity of the other partner, right?
Mhm.
But in most cases, it's like, yes, that is your self-talk. Your brain is like your brain took a thought and ran with it.
Mhm.
And I think that's also what happens is her brain takes a thought and it just kind of like ran with it. Alrighty, guys. I think that's gonna be all for today.
That's it.
That's it.
Elfine.
Ilfine. So
You
if you're
gotta
not
call me
doing
like
so
that.
already, don't forget to like us on our Facebook page at Life After I Do Podcast,
On everything.
TikTok,
Instagram,
Instagram,
YouTube.
and YouTube. Life After I Do Podcast. Go ahead and follow, like, share with your friends. New episodes every
Tell your
Wednesday.
mama and your daddy.
Every Wednesday is a new episode. And if you would like to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at
Just don't DM me.
life after I do podcast at gmail.com. And yes, don't DM him.
We're also on OnlyPans.
Oh my gosh. Goodbye, Maurice. This has been another episode of Life After I Do with Nisha GMO Lethal. And until next time, we will see you guys next week. Peace.